I got my first video camera at age 10. You know, I got a Sony Handycam. My dad bought it for me because I remember, you know, I would always play with sound recorders and try to, you know, like record my voice on the radio. And then at age 10, I asked my dad for a video camera for my birthday. And at that point, I was recording family birthday parties, different events. I didn't know, like, you know, how to build a narrative, but I knew that I wanted to tell different stories. And I started with stories for school, like any project that they would assign that was supposed to be on a piece of paper, I'd make a video about it. And like people thought it'd be like, it was so complicated, but for me it was so simple. And I remember like my family being frustrated, like, why do you have to record everything? You know, some things are better left, you know, in private, or like, you know, tell someone. You don't have to record it because when you record it, everybody sees it, you know. And I can already hear my stepfather saying, you know, put the camera down, or like, do you tell my mom, don't make any more projects? You know, don't let him make any more projects on video. But for me, it was always very important to have a camera. So I started at age 10. And then I, you know, all throughout middle school, I was always the guy who would bring his video camera stashed inside his backpack to school. And I didn't always know, like, what were the right angles or what was, like, the best way to go about it, but I always knew that I wanted to capture life.
What was your experience like, Terry, before you met us?
You know, I just gotten out of, you know, Belgrade and returned to the US, and I remember it had not been more than 2 weeks after I finished filming the first round, and the guy's like, oh, you know, we got to get this, we got to start editing this right now. And I'm like, you know, I'm still processing. I was in Serbia for 7 months. I haven't made any transcriptions on these videos. I haven't, you know, sat down and reanalyzed the interviews. Like, I can't give this to you possibly right now and tell you what I want. No, we need to get this because we got to start editing. And like, you know, I'm 21 at that time. You know, I'm very naive, impressionable, and then they say like, yeah, $15,000 to do this. I'm like, okay, he must know what he's doing. So like, I'm like, yeah, I send him the hard drives. I tell him, you know, here, do it. And like 10 days later, after he watches everything, he's like, yes, you owe me $3,000. And I'm like, but you haven't done anything. He's like, oh, you know, it's part of the process. We did invest 40 hours, you know, watching the film. And
just watching the film.
Just watching the film was 40 hours, and you know, the brainstorming chart. He was charging. They were charging money for brainstorming, and like, you know,
for thinking.
For thinking, and then, but it was because I was paying for other people to think because I wasn't thinking. You know, I just wanted to make sure, like, okay, I want to get this done by May. It has to be done, and I didn't even know what the story was, and I kept on, you know, paying them to figure out the story and to play with the clips, and like, yes, some things were beautifully shot, you know, and some, but the story wasn't built. It's not enough. And for them, for what they wanted, it was enough because they wanted money. So the more they can get me to have conversations, the more I could be there, the more fake shots they took, the more money I was eventually paying them. And then it came a point where it was May of 2012, and I got a $5,000 bill in the mail, and I only had $3,000 left. So and I had to find, you know, $2,000 to pay for something that wasn't done, and I got depressed. And I realized, like, oh my God, the film's not done, I have no money, I have nowhere to go, and people are expecting me to show them something. So for a whole year from that point on, yes, I was making payments, and I finished, and I was like, you know, I was calling people like, hey, you know I've asked you for money before, but I need $1,000 to finish. They're like, Terrance, okay. But I didn't have anything. And I still didn't have anything. And what I had was like this 44-minute bastardized version of True Life episode of MTV that was like without a story, without any message, without any emotion, and it wasn't what I wanted, and I wasn't proud of it. And I would send it to people and tell them, you know, what do you think? It's like, oh, it's really interesting. Like, I probably heard the word interesting, you know, in every email that I got back. But the word interesting has no substance. You know, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really nice.
We don't want to offend you. We don't want
we don't want to offend you. And I'm like, I'm not mediocre. I'm a perfectionist. But I think that the whole journey of being a perfectionist and really believing in this project and knowing that it can be more told me that I have to reinvest. As an adult, I have to make some tough decisions. You know, I'm not making a lot of money, but the money that I do make, I'm going to finish this and make it into something that I'm proud of. And I did not know how I was going to accomplish that. One of my friends on the ship, her name is Diane, and she said, you know, Terrance, whatever you want to do in terms of a project, I'm going to help you accomplish it. And I remember I said, I want to go to Spain and I want to make a movie, a documentary about Spain. She's like, no, you're going to have too much fun. You're fluent in Spanish. You have family in Spain. This is not going to work out. You're just going to, you know, get drunk all summer. And I was like, damn it. So one day I was at the library at uni and there was this girl I was talking to. And she was telling me, oh yeah, I'm from the Balkans. And I'm like, oh, where are the Balkans? She's like, oh, you know, the ex-Yugoslavia, Serbia, Kosovo. And I'm like, oh, what's that like? You know, I heard that on the news. And she's like, there's a lot of conflict. So we just kept on talking a little bit more about it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to find a way to go there. And she's like, really? And I'm like, why not? Like, and I thought about, you know, like I have access to someone who's willing to support me to go on a trip and make a project. Why not go somewhere that someone recommended, that is off the beaten path, off the wall, off what everybody already does? And I thought that it was the perfect opportunity. One of my first impressions of Serbia was what I was trained to see, you know, what I was conditioned to see by the media and the news. Like, my lens walking in here was like there was this anti-American sentiment that, you know, they were always thinking about war, that people were, you know, kind of resentful of foreigners. And I felt, you know, at first I felt like people were like trying to target me because I looked different, because I was from America. And, you know, when someone has like an impression, a fixed impression of what something is, everything they see is what, you know, they think what their expectations are. You can't see beyond your expectations. And it wasn't until I had a series of experiences that showed me, like, listen, you have to change your expectations. That's not what it's like here. That I started to see things differently. No, it wasn't, you know, Serbia's not fixed on, you know, the events that happened, you know, 10, 12 years ago. No, it's just so much more than that. That's just a piece of a, you know, just like a slice of pizza and a big pie, you know, just one slice of the pizza is the bad negative experiences, but there's so much more positivity. You know, I came in here with a negative perception, and today, you know, 5 years later, my perception is completely different. Like, you have to kind of kick me out of Serbia, you know, because this is the one place in the world where I find that people can be extremely creative, where they're hungry, they're passionate, they're artistic. And, you know, I get goosebumps because everyone I've met has this undying passion to share what they love to do. And it's not commercialized. They do it because they want to do it, because they want to share. And I only wish that I had that every day. You know, yes, you know, Serbia may not have, like, you know, the biggest salaries or all the resources that, you know, that I'm used to in America, but that's not what it's about here. It's not about, like, who has, you know, who's the manager or who's, like, the president of this company. It's about the quality of life. And that is the one thing, that is the one expectation that was completely shattered from when I got here. My lens is like, you know, what you do is who you are. That's what I thought, you know, coming here. You know, I thought that, you know, that the war was going to be like everybody had this war mentality, war mindset. And that's not who people are in Serbia. People are so much more than that. They're creative, they're family driven, they're traditionalists, they think out of the box. They may be a world of contradictions, but the one thing that doesn't change is the genuine love they have for each other. And I can only wish everyone could experience that, because in a way, we all have expectations for what the other is, but we're unwilling to look beyond our personal conditions to accept that. And Serbia was a place that allowed me to do that. You know, these 5 years is 1/5 of my life. And for 1/5 of my life, I've unlearned and relearned everything about who I am.